In this video, we're going to be taking a look at one of our latest macros called EasyWeed Professional. And basically what this does is it really simplifies the process of creating these rhinestone alphabets as well as other types of designs where we're going to create a weed box around the design, and then we kind of can match up and pair up our different designs to create different types of words and transfers. And if you've ever done this manually, creating all these little weed boxes around every letter, it's actually quite a tedious process. So what we did is we created EasyWeed that allows us to do this automatically. So what we're going to do here is just kind of show you step by step how we do this. So the first thing we need to do is type out our alphabet. Now you can see I've already typed out the capital letters of our alphabet. And then what I would suggest doing is go ahead and selecting all of your capitals and a couple of spaces and paste, and then take all of these and change to lowercase. So we'll just right click, change case, lowercase. So now we have all of our upper and lowercase, and then right after our Z here we'll go ahead and a couple more spaces, and we'll go ahead and type out our numbers if this particular font is to include numbers. Now, one of the great things about this is there are a bunch of pre-designed rhinestone fonts available from all kinds of different sources. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at one of ours, but they all basically work the same way. So let's go ahead and pick a font. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our paragraph formatting here in CorelDRAW. Let's go ahead and minimize this a moment. And for our character spacing, we're going to do 150%. So all that does is add a little bit of space between each letter. Okay. Now at this point, I might go ahead and save this file, and let's just go ahead and save it to our desktop, and we can call it whatever we want to, but this will be kind of our template. So for example, if I wanted to pull up maybe I want to pull up a Synergy 17 font. Okay. And I can just come in here. Now, not every font is going to have. Let's look at Synergy's curly font. Okay, so this, as I click on here, see it says curly font double. Okay, not every font is going to have an upper and lowercase. This particular font does. Now let's see, and it also has numbers, as you can see. So let's go ahead and just use this for our example, because it doesn't matter what font we're using. Alright, so let's go ahead and reopen EasyWeed here. And now the dots of this font, we have no idea what those dot sizes are. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say, you know what, I want these to be 3.3 millimeters for an SS10 stone. And when I hit process font, that's it. A few seconds later, our font is processed and all of our weed boxes are added correctly. And that's all there is to it. Now this particular font has a lot of stones to it, so it does take a little bit longer to process. But 20-30 seconds and it's all done for us. There's no more work to be done. So it's a huge time saver. And just that quick, there is our font. So now let's say I want to create a word. Let's just see how this works out. Alright, let's say, I tell you what, let's go ahead and do one more thing. Let's select all of those, and the spacing between, let's go ahead and set that to be 1/8 of an inch, and we'll choose space selected, and that'll just kind of group all of our letters back together. See, so now they're all in one nice little line. They're not so spread out. So let's say I want to create the word eagles. We'll go ahead and pull down our E, our A, our G, our L, our E, and our S. Okay, and then what we'll do here is we'll just take all of these, hit T for top to line those all to the top, and then for our spacing, we'll just go ahead and put 0 and choose space selected. Now see, isn't that much easier? So a couple little features in there, but now you can see how this word would automatically be created for us if we were to take all of our individual tiles here and be able to create that for us. So there we go. There's our word eagles. So you can see how easy it is to create our font this way. Now there are some other things that we can do that are just kind of fun things we can do. For example, you notice that at the bottom of our L, E, and S, our space is quite a bit. Well, what we could do if we wanted to is we could stretch. I tell you what, let's undo, let's ungroup, and let's stretch our weed box. And let's just say, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup these as well. And let's just say, for example, we wanted to take our A, E, and S and their weed boxes and make them the same size. So what we could do is come over here to my miscellaneous tab and choose the Mark Master Weed. And then I could take these other three, match bottom, resize the weed. And so you can see now the weed boxes, those other letters matched the one that we had marked. So now we're not using that extra little bit of our color flock or sticky flock material when we're making our rhinestone template. So then we would just align the top edge of all of our letters, and we would know that we would get a perfect alignment every time. Now I am actually going to go ahead and revert back. We can save. I'm actually going to just pick a different template this time. So we'll do our ES Curls font, and we could choose a different weed box material. So let's do that. Let's choose a different color for our weed box. Let's just use a gray color. Okay, and then for our template material, I don't know, let's just use a dark color. I want to show you how this works. It's kind of a fun option. Let's go back over here to Easy Weed. We're going to go ahead and process. And again, it takes just a second to process those fonts, depending on the number of rhinestones that we're using. But notice now the pink background, the pink weed box background, is now kind of a light shade of gray. I'm going to go ahead and apply a small space between all of these. So we'll line them all up. And there you see. Now I'm going to do something different. I am actually going to create a gang sheet. And I want to show you a couple things on this gang sheet. So let's go ahead and start with one selection. You see that one row is selected. Come over here to the prep for cut. My template material in this case will be 14 by 12 sheets. Tell you what, let's do 12 by 10 sheets. And our offset will be a 1/2 inch with a horizontal and vertical spacing of 1/8. And we'll choose the Create Cut Layout. And it goes to work. It automatically creates these cut layout sheets for us, as many as we need to get the job done. So you can see this is what it determined. These sheets are exactly 12 by 10, as you can see. And you can see that there's not room for another row, so it started a new sheet for us. How fun is that, right? So really, really easy to determine how much material a alphabet is going to take up. Now, what I could do, we'll point out too, notice how the alphabet's in order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? All the way in order, and then it starts lowercase. A, B, C. Well, what if, and this is just kind of fun just to play around with, what if I wanted to have alternating letters? Well, what we could do in that situation is we could just take all of our letters from our lowercase, and we're going to move them right below the uppercase. And you can see our letter A over here is more or less in line with our uppercase A, right? And we're going to take our letter Z here and we're going to slide it right underneath the letter Z over here. And then we're going to select all these letters and hit Shift P. Okay? Now, our numbers are way over here in no man's land, but that's fine. So we're going to select everything, right? And for this time, we're going to do 12-inch. Say we're using 12-inch sticky flock or 12-inch color flock material, and we want to know how much material this is going to take to cut this alphabet out. Well, all I do is click on the Create Cut Layout, right? And it goes to work. And now it's done. So now you can see we have upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower, all the way through the alphabet. Pretty fun stuff, right? So now when I click on this piece of template material, it's 12 inches wide by, let's just say, 20 inches tall. So I know I need a piece of 12 by 20 inch material. Okay? Very, very nice to have that automatically configured for us. Now, I'm going to actually come back in here. I'm going to revert this back to the original because I want to show you something else. Let's go back over here to miscellaneous options. For our weed box color, I'm going to go back to my pink. Whatever pink color I want. And then for my template material, let's just, I don't know. I'm just going to go with nothing, I guess. I'll just do it white. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do just like we did previously. We're going to go ahead and process the font. Okay, so there is our upper and lowercase letters. And I'm going to take all of my lowercase and slide it back underneath my uppercase like we did previously. So I want to show you something that I like to do. And because I'm demonstrating the professional edition, I think it's important that you know how to do it. Because you're probably going to want to create some website images. So we'll hit Shift P to kind of sort those out. Alright, so now we have our upper, lowercase, and numbers. And now what we're going to do is go back to our prep for cut. And again, material, let's just do 14 and click on Create Cut Layout. Now it's going to create this gang sheet for us again. It's going to alternate upper and lowercase and numbers. But it only does part of the job because this is what I would like to do for my website. So you see I have upper and lowercase, right? But over here on the G, we have the uppercase and then the G starts down here. So what I'll do is I'll shuffle this over here, right? And I'll line these two up, just select them both and hit T for top. And then if I have those two selected, I've got this space selected feature, right? So then I can move, I'm going to move the M and both ends up to the next row, line them all up. I still have them selected, hit space selected, so those line all right up. And then the same thing with my next row here. So I'm going to go with my S and my capital and upper and lowercase t's. Select, hit T for top, space selected, there you go. And I tell you what, let's go with Y and my Z's on the next one. Line them up to the top, space selected. And you can see how those just all kind of shift right over for us, real easy. And then finally, my numbers. We'll go ahead and top, space selected. Alright, so now we kind of got this kind of staggered pattern going. So now what we're going to do is we're going to delete our material. Okay, because we don't need our material rectangles. Now I can just select that top row and group that top row. Select the middle row, group it. Select the next row, group it. Next row, group it. And the next row, group it. And then select the whole thing and hit C. See there? So now I have all this set up where I can export this out as a JPEG right here inside CorelDRAW, and now I have a nice image for my website so I can demonstrate to people who might be interested in purchasing this font what a pre-cut font might look like. when they get it in the mail. So anyhow, that's basically what all these features do. It's pretty self-explanatory. If I want to reset the colors of the template material and weed box, I hit reset color, and that's essentially what EasyWeed is all about. But even if you never sell a file or make a pre-cut template for sale, just having a tool like EasyWeed to automatically add those weed boxes is going to make your life a lot easier, because there are so many fonts available. However, there are very, very few fonts available that have these weed boxes already configured for you, and that's because it's a real pain to do that manually. So with EasyWeed, one click, it does it all. Thanks for watching.